There is something going on right now that you may or may not be aware of. This is a major gold rush that is taking place. It's something that we've actually seen historically speaking. It's something that kind of holdbacks markets around the world. And that's probably a big reason why we haven't seen crypto do some insane things yet in this market cycle. But the good news is that the gold rush in this sense actually leads to a gold rush in the crypto market. And I want to talk about that in relation to ADA and other assets in the space. So if you guys are new or haven't already, show your support for the channel down below. Hit that subscribe button, that bell. It's free to do. It'll keep you updated anytime there's new content live here on the channel. So we've obviously talked about how in this market cycle, there's one big thing that has been lacking. One big thing we're waiting for that will send the market into an absolute frenzy, and that is retail adoption. We have not had much in terms of new retail enter the crypto market in this market cycle. Like I've talked about in other videos before, we've actually seen a reduction in the amount of people in crypto since all the way back in 2022. Not by much, but it's still not the same progress we have seen historically speaking. And you can point to all sorts of different things as the reason why, but there is one major reason why this probably has not taken place yet. And that is because we are seeing a major gold rush unfold before our eyes. So this is actually the gold charts. And we don't talk about gold much here on the channel. But why I think it's important to talk about is gold for the first time ever actually broke $4,000 yesterday. That is a very strong move. And if you guys haven't noticed, gold has been going parabolic here for quite some time. And what's very coincidental about this is that this all started back in late 2022. The good news is that actually the Bitcoin chart is kind of following the gold chart. But why that makes sense, Bitcoin, digital gold, right, versus gold. But here's the thing, gold tends to pump during rate cuts, during times of economic uncertainty, during times of global instability. People tend to flock to gold. And that's a lot of what we've been dealing with over the last several years. We've obviously had high inflation. There's been wars abroad. There's been escalating global tensions. These are all things that cause people to flock to gold, right? Government shutdown causes people to flock to gold. And that's what we have been seeing. But now the downside to this is this actually kind of holds back markets. It makes people just kind of put the pause on things, even when crypto is running and doing well. Like again, we just saw all-time highs in terms of the total market cap of crypto, total 2, total 3, Bitcoin, but yet we're not really seeing the masses just smash in, right? Like they typically do. And this is something that will eventually change. And it's something that we've actually seen historically speaking. We have to go back a ways to look at this, right? Actually, we don't even have to go back that far. We can look at even just during 2020. We actually saw gold hit its peak during that time, late July of 2020. And then this is about the time that we saw the market just begin to run absolutely wild. Actually, just looking back here, I didn't know I was going to go down this road, but let's go ahead and go down it. If we look back at 2020 here, this was the exact moment that the market started to flip and really extend. Just take a look at here, right? We got our pump late July. This is exactly what led us into this major alt season. All right. If we go back further, take a look all the way back here when gold hit this peak back in 2011. Obviously, crypto was still very early on then, but let's take a look at something like the S&P. This was the exact moment, 2011, late 2011, that gold peaked and we saw the pivot begin. We started to see a gold rush into your more risk on assets like the stock market. All right. It was the exact inverse correlation that led us to do some insane things in multiple markets. And now we're waiting for this moment that we see this gold rush take place where gold basically peaks and starts to work its way down, and you see this capital start to flow back into assets around the world, crypto included. So the question is when is this going to take place? Well, ending the government shutdown would be one. That'd be a big sign for the markets. The only downside I will say is that low interest rates tend to make people hold gold. But as some of these wars begin to de-escalate, as inflation continues to at least flatten out, these are things that slow down this push into gold. In fact, we saw a really good flattening of this here in 2025. Coincidentally enough, when did crypto start running? When did we see our bottom? April. That was about the time that gold went flat. It was basically flat all the way until basically the start of September. Okay. So there are times where when this gold rush stops, the gold rush and other assets begins. And that's what we're waiting for right now. We're kind of just sitting here watching, waiting for the moment that this gold rally that we're on right now just pauses. Okay. It sucks. We have to sit, watch, and wait. Sit, watch, and wait. Stupid gold, right? But that's kind of where we're at right now. There's a very strong correlation between this. So people probably want timelines. Let's talk timelines. I think that October is a chance for this gold rally to stop, or at least flatten out again, kind of like what we did back here, where we kind of just chopped around these ranges. Maybe $4,000 is a psychological threshold where people start to, again, diversify from gold and move into more speculative markets. And one of the problems that you have too is that something like the S&P and other markets, they've been running pretty hot as of late. You know, if we look at what's been going on here since all the way back in April, they haven't really slowed down per se. And again, I'm not saying that we can't run while gold is running, but it somewhat limits what you can do. And we need to see gold slow down. We need to see more stability. We need to see more certainty for the masses to start flowing into the crypto markets. The big thing we're waiting for, and I'll say this, right now we're at a $4.22 trillion market cap and the total market cap of crypto. There's enough sideline liquidity in the crypto market to send us to, again, somewhere in that $5 to $7 trillion range. It's not a big jump. And again, something like ADA can capture a huge portion of this. We talked obviously earlier and many times about how ADA over the last 365 days has been one of the better performing blue chip assets in the space. So that kind of mindset surrounding ADA from the early market cycle, it's not the case anymore. So that's all I wanted to share with you guys. There will be a point where the masses start to flow into the crypto market. There will be a point where you start to see people use 401ks to buy crypto. Obviously, that was approved, and we haven't still seen a big push from that quite yet. And again, I think gold's probably a big reason why. But all this will change. All this will move markets. And sometimes we just have to think longer term. You know, I'm not saying, again, you know, we're going to moon in October or anything like that. I think this is something that is a more exaggerated, longer term move. And this is, again, why I think 2026 has an opportunity to be a huge time for the markets. But I just wanted to share that with you guys. That's kind of my thoughts on this. I'd love to hear what you guys think. Are we waiting for this gold pivot? Is this something that will bring the gold rush to crypto? Can this be where ADA has some of its best performance yet? But have a great day. Show your love below. Catch you guys in the next one. Take care.